I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
This is Mohammed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're in Manchester, the hometown of Ben Shalom. So yeah, comfortable here, live on BT Sport box office this Saturday. Joyce v Parker, obviously your boy Joseph Parker. You firmly believe we'll be getting a rematch on Sky Sports box office should Joseph win?
100%. I think, to be honest, I don't know if it will be a rematch. You never know. Depends how the fight goes on Saturday, but Joseph Parker is ready. I've known Joseph now for quite a long time, and I used to speak to him when he was in other camps. He's never taken things this seriously. He's never trained like this. When he was over in Vegas, he was a completely different man, completely different approach, and he still became world champion and still had those big moments. And so, yeah, I think it's a young 30-year-old. I think it's a very experienced 30-year-old, but I think it's a fresh 30-year-old, and that's what made this fight. And when he signed with us, he said, "This is the fight I wanted. This is the fight I want. This is the one that if you can make happen on the right terms, please make it." And that's what we did. And thankfully to George and everyone that happened, we made it happen.
We have a lot of promoters right now, especially in the UK. So a collaboration like this where Queensbury and Boxer are working together, whoever the promoters are, do you think this is a necessity for British boxing? As I said, there's loads of promoters in the game at the moment, so we need collaboration.
We just don't care about promoter politics. Like it's difficult because when I see the promoters going at each other, I think fair enough, and I don't knock anyone. But for us, how can we work? There's going to be times when our clients and our fighters need to fight other fighters from other promotions, whether it's mandatories, whether it's voluntary defences. So we just try and stay out of it. It might be boring, but we could not have got this fight. We could not have got this fight done and done what Joseph needed us to do, and he couldn't do it direct, and it was too painful, and there was too many problems, and this and that. We can't do what we need to do for our fighters if we get involved in that. And so, yeah, promoters do need to work together when it makes sense for their fighters. That's who we're serving. You know, I could sit there and convince Joseph Parker that there's another route, and that's the best route for him, but it's not. This is the perfect fight for him. This is a perfect opportunity with the interim belt, and if we couldn't work with the Warrens, then it wouldn't have happened.
Just to add as well, it's not just Joyce Parker. Esserman Antwi is also a collaboration. Obviously, you guys represent Samuel Antwi. So, yeah, it's good to see yourself and George Warren and Frank Warren working together. Hopefully more promoters do the same. It will be for the benefit of the fans and the fighters, as you say. Ben, just away from this, obviously you announced a new date for Shields and Marshall, October 15th. As you've told me off camera, the right move that the board made to call that show off in those circumstances. But yeah, we have a new date at the O2, so I must be looking forward to that.
Massively. Look, when it happened, it was devastating. It was probably the biggest night we've had as a promoter. In terms of, I would say, put it above Carnbrook, put it above Taylor Catterall, just because of what it represented. It was ridiculous. We had 2 main events. An O2, an all-women's night, over 100 countries, for that to happen the day before. Whether you agree with it or not, there's no way that sort of celebration would have been the same. And so the board made the decision, but I just want to use this opportunity to be honest. The team at Boxer and Sky and everyone to keep it on the road. I don't think it would happen in the men's sport. To keep all the fighters completely new contracts for the whole of the card, completely new date, O2, venue, everything. To turn it around in 3 weeks was incredible, and that's what I'm happy about. And I think the fights will only get bigger. This night is only going to get bigger. It was difficult. Imagine the day before that happening. It was difficult for everyone. I felt sorry for the fighters. I really felt sorry for the fans. But we got it back on very, very quickly, and fans will be very happy. And yeah, I can't wait. And I actually, to be honest, was not looking forward to that fight, that night being over, because there isn't going to be as big a night for women's boxing for a long time. I can't see where the fight's going to come from right now. I can't see it, and that was a special night, and now we have an even bigger night on October the 15th, and yeah, thank you to the team for getting it done.
Ben, I'm sure there was a lot of losses financially because of that situation, so how does that get covered? Or does it not get covered?
Sometimes you have to take things on the chin. You know, luckily we work with a broadcaster who understand the game and what happens. insurers, all that boring stuff. The main thing was the fighters accepted what had happened. It was taken out of our hands. I do not run boxing in the UK. I do not run the sport in the UK, unfortunately. And we just had to take it on the chin. It was tough. It was tough as a business and everything like that. But we now have a bigger fight. And sometimes things happen for a reason. And I truly believe that with this one. I think we're going to have a much bigger spectacle, a much bigger night because of potentially what happened, unfortunately. And I have to stand with the board's decision. They felt like they were doing the right thing. They had 7 or 8 shows on that weekend. They saw football went. They saw what we were planning, which we had partners pulling out. I'd mentioned to Coogan, BBC, sponsors, people not coming. They saw what was going on. They couldn't promote it on the channels. And the board in the end just knocked it on the head, and that was it, and we had to take it. But main thing is it's back on, because it's a major moment for boxing.
Well, we're glad it's back on October 15th at the O2. Now, a fight that we want back on as well, we had the first instalment of Taylor Catterall. When are we going to get a rematch, Ben? What's the situation with that?
I think it's close now. I think these fights have to happen. We're seeing it with Parker Joyce. When both fighters want a fight to happen, it usually happens. We've seen that throughout history. I'm convinced that will happen. Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor both need that fight. Josh wants to redress what happened. He's vacated nearly every belt. It's clear what he wants to do, and fair play to him, because he got a lot of criticism unfairly that night because it was nothing to do with him. Absolutely, it was. I remember the stuff that was coming out the weeks that passed. I really felt sorry for him. It was nothing to do with Josh Taylor. So the fact that he is willing, he was probably going to move up in weight, to stay at the weight, to fight Jack Catterall, to go again is incredible, and Jack will get his chance. So I expect that to happen very soon. We sent in an offer, and we think it will get done.
Can you say whether that will be in Scotland or potentially in Manchester?
Not yet. I think things are still being worked through, but obviously Josh wants it in Scotland. I think Jack just wants the fight. So read through that what you will. But yeah, that fight I expect to be next for both fighters.
And just get a comment from yourself on reports going around that talks between DILLIAN WHYTE and Daniel Dubois have collapsed, and there are suggestions that he might sign with yourself and Boxer. So can you touch on that perhaps, if you can?
Look, I think it's a difficult one because everyone's waiting for what happens with AJ Fury. Let's be honest. We've got 3 fight nights right now that we're trying to make sure we don't clash. We want that fight to happen. It's unbelievable for British boxing. If it doesn't happen, fair enough, but everyone's not wanting to clash. I think that will be in Frank's head, maybe for Daniel. Dillian will be thinking, he'll want to fight this year. We might be part of it. We hope we're part of it. We know that he wants to be on the platform. Sometimes it just comes down at that stage of the career to money. And it will be who wants to put their hand in the pocket. We think Dillian's got a lot left. He didn't perform the way he should have done in April. I think he'd admit that, and he wants to come back. We'll see whether we're involved. There's lots going on in the heavyweight division. Fury Hunter, Joyce Parker, AJ Fury. DILLIAN WHYTE wants to come back. Derek Chisora will obviously.
How was your dinner with Derek?
Very good, very entertaining, obviously, and he wants to. All these fighters, what's amazing about the heavyweight division is they all want to fight each other. They genuinely do, and the fights will happen. And it's going to be. I think it's going to be a very, very special 12 months for heavyweight boxing.
Look forward to it. Just lastly, to close off, I know I touched on you about this last time. Has there been any further discussions with Sky and within Boxer about the matchmaking and moving forward, how you can avoid nights like you did with Liam Smith's fight and Fraser Clark? Has there been any further discussions?
Look, I think we have gone from 12 months where Sky Sports Boxing had no fighters. It was almost being considered dead. So to now be in a position where we have the stable that we have, and we're putting on more shows on British soil than any other promoter on television. Sometimes things are moving fast and things happen, and when fighters pull out with 48 hours notice, when things happen like that, and sometimes things will go against you. Look, I'm a boxing fan. I used to be in that position, watching it on TV and saying, why is that there? Why is that not there? Why is Dan Aziz on first in his British title? Why is Tasha Jonas not headlining in the unification? Why is Fraser Clark on at 9 o'clock against a replacement opponent? I get it. It'll be looked at. It is looked at. We're putting on that many shows, as I say. These things can happen. but it's not something that it was a tough night, and but most of all I was upset for Dan Aziz and Tasha Jonas, who had amazing nights, and all people were talking about was Fraser Clark's opponent. He needs to step up now, and we'll announce that in the next few days.
Ben Shalom, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. I hear you're going to be wearing a New Zealand shirt ringside on Saturday.
Look, Joseph, honestly, there isn't a nicer guy in boxing. Joseph Parker, his family, his everything. I went down to Tyson Fury's house, which is where he's training. They've got the US celebrity master chef in there for the whole camp. It's a great camp. He's a great guy. I'm proud to be representing him, and I think this is a big moment for him on Saturday night. There'll be a lot of Kiwis in there. This is his 4th time fighting in Manchester. It's my hometown. I think he's almost a home fighter. He's going to have a lot of fans there on Saturday night, and I can't wait.
Well, Tyson reckons he's Gypsy Joe.
He's Gypsy Joe, he's Morecambe Joe, he's Manchester, he's here now, he's a UK, he's a cult figure. All his biggest fights have been in the UK for a long time. And as I say, the 4th night in Manchester, he's won 3 times here before. I think Huey was the first one, Derek twice. This is probably the biggest, well, it's the biggest given what is at stake. And yeah, I can't wait.
Thank you, Ben Shalom, and we'll speak after the fight, all right?
Yeah, I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more
There's
times.
5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.